Come on. All right. Hi, I'm Austin Eartham.
I'm Taylor Pat. Kitchen Table Podcast.
We're here to two guys sharing our stories, helping you get 1% better in all areas of your life. Teaching and coaching specifically on how to motivate and become a little bit better on either the kids you're influencing, your team at work, or the athletes that you coach. You got some good weather here in the Midwest, so it's going to be a great week. Recap from last week, we had Annie right on. She was a three-time heptathlon champion. Ryan was a decathlete back in season number 1. Annie shared a great story from following through from freshman year of college until now being a teacher and a coach. We're going to kind of follow up with that this week with another guest popping up on Thursday, so be sure to tune into that. Otherwise, nothing new in the podcast world. We want to hit on the challenge. Taylor was talking about following through and actually texting somebody. If you say, hey, let's hang out, let's get coffee, actually following through and asking them to do that and then meeting up with them instead of just doing a friendly gesture per se. How did that go for you?
I mean, that was Annie's challenge, and that
yeah, she came up with it, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about how I was gonna
sleep.
Yes, and that I did actually pretty well. I only had 2 technical days that I struggled with. Today was probably my worst one, and that definitely just snoozed a few times. And then the other one is just one snooze. And that's a pretty good week, so made some progress in it. Definitely continue to work on it through the next couple of weeks and kind of get it done.
That's good. A little bit, again, 1% improvement is always good. To be honest, I didn't really have an opportunity to follow through. I know I said I'd follow through with the kids a little bit more, which I feel like I did in terms of making them be quiet. And if they didn't do that, then I moved them seats, etc. But I'm going to have more of a follow through occurrence, I think, this week as the Super Bowl is approaching, and talk to a couple friends to maybe get together. So it'd be nice to see some follow through on that on my part and see some people I haven't seen since the holidays or a little bit before the holidays. That'd be good to see them and hang out and experience that 1%. Quote of the week this week is by Pablo Picasso. It says, inspiration does exist, but it must find you working. Say one more time here. Inspiration does exist, but it must find you working. Pablo Picasso. What do you get out of that quote there, Taylor?
Now you really got to put in work.
Yeah, I think that's a big, definitely the main word. That's the most important word, I think, is working in that.
Yeah, you got to put in effort. You have to put in actual thought and process into it.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you don't, again, the motivation, especially if it's intrinsic versus extrinsic, which we've talked about in season 1 a lot. If it's intrinsic, it's a lot easier to do the work than if it's extrinsic. If it's extrinsic and people, per se, a coach or a teacher is trying to get you to do something and you're not fully invested, then it's a lot harder to do that work. I talk about this all the time with kids in school. You don't have necessarily everything be graded. So if it's not graded, kids think, oh, I don't need to do it. So I always use the example of, hey, if you're playing soccer and you never practice, how's the game going to go? Or if you're in band and you never play your trumpet, how's that performance going to go in front of the whole school, right? And they always say, oh, it's going to go bad. Okay, so if you don't do your science, how is your test going to go? Oh, probably bad. All right, well, you should probably do your work, even though it's not graded, right? It's hard to tell a 14-year-old to follow through with that, but it requires a lot of work behind the scenes. Remember the first couple of podcasts, we spent 45 minutes trying to set up and make it work?
Yeah.
I mean, it took more time to actually get it set up than to do it. I think work's obviously important as well.
And the more work you put in behind scenes, and that the more motivated you are.
Yeah, and
it's how I feel personally. So if I'm putting in work towards a goal or towards something, I'm thinking the longer I get in that working process, the more motivation I have because I put in time, effort, blood, sweat, tears.
Yeah. You're more emotionally invested.
Yeah. So
yeah. it kind of becomes your character, honestly, because nobody's watching behind the scenes. Who cares, right? Really, that's what makes things tick a lot of the time. I think that's a great point. Really good point. So we'll talk more about some work in our lives that we saw motivation, how we need to do better, things we've done well, and then we'll jump into kind of how to do things better after that in terms of a motivation standpoint to get others influenced as a coach or a teacher, how to influence them. Sorry, tongue twist there. But Vitargo also helps you to recover better, and it motivates you for your next workout, et cetera, et cetera. I saw Vitargo has been posting a lot on their Instagram page. So you don't follow Vitargo on Facebook, or not Facebook, Instagram, both really. Follow them because they got all sorts of, I've been seeing a lot of Olympic lifts since they have the Winter Olympics going on. They've been showing a lot of the summer athletes who are sponsored by them, and they use Vitargo, and obviously they're at the top of their game. So really, Vitargo helps you recover better. Honestly, just gives you motivation. It's like a, what's that called? Where it's not the real thing. Placebo effect. It's literally a placebo because
it's filling.
Yeah, it tastes great, and you drink it, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna be good. It's like a fake steroid. It's like you drink it, you're like, oh, I got energy now. I'm good, right? I can hit this lift. This helped me a lot. We'll put the discount code in the description, and you guys can check it out, get 15% off, and let us know if you like Vitargo. Last week we got some answers on our question. I'm very disappointed in it because Vitargo even put this on their Instagram page for me.
Yeah.
And it said 56% like orange better than grape.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I had grape on. I was really thinking about this on Saturday after I ran. I was like, man, grape Vitargo is so good. I was like, it's like, because growing up I like purple Gatorade. And I was like, wow, because I started having orange. It was the first time I ever had. I was like, wow, this is like Tang, right? This is great. And then I had the grape, and I was like, wow, this is so good. It's like a lollipop. Delicious. And I was just disappointed. You like orange better? You're an orange guy.
Yeah, they're like a 50. It depends on the day. Sorry, I got coffee. It's like, I'm scared because purple scares me because sometimes I'm scared it's going to taste more like cough syrup than grape. Is the only thing that holds me back.
Not on Vitargo, man. Vitargo, one, better than Gatorade. Two, all natural ingredients. Three, way better than cough syrup.
And when I think of orange, I think it's citrus. I know, like, it wouldn't taste a little more citrusy.
Yeah, I don't think it's that citrusy. Yeah. I think it's more of a, you can tell it's not like it's not a freshly squeezed orange. It's like a orange color, if that makes sense.
And that's one thing I don't care. That's why it's like 50-50.
I mean, I think they're all good, but I just like I love Tang though too. But I just like grapes better. So I just think grapes better when you go. All right, we'll jump to an ad break here and make your dollar bills, and we'll jump into the definition of motivation.
I got my water. I don't know why it's just dry. I know Joe Rogan's podcast is way bigger than ours, of course, but I mean, you can start that. Unless you're looking at something.
No, I just say what you're gonna say, unless it deals with motivation or something.
Well, it just kind of like goes with that. It's like he's like literally on the. I just listened to this newest one podcast, and he's like, he's like, feedback. I gotta take a test.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he does it. It
has like buttons where they can like just stop their mic right on them. I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, technically we do too, but like one person keeps talking, the other one is just like puts mute so they can do whatever they need to do. I think that's so cool when I was listening to it. Yeah, you can start. So going back to sleep and waking up in that.
Yeah.
I love it because like it takes me a little bit to wake up and then get moving. But then when I go to work in that day, the kids, so we wake them up. We're their alarm clock.
Mm-hmm. They don't get the snooze.
No, they get up. They get 15, maybe 20 minutes to get ready and get moving.
Mm-hmm.
And like they don't get to usually shower in the morning, they shower at night, all that stuff. So I just think that's funny is like they have to get moving, otherwise they have accountabilities and such.
Mm-hmm.
I like have like 7 alarm clocks.
Yeah,
so it's like
7:05.
yeah,
7:07.
yeah,
7:08.
yeah,
7, and it's just like you jump out of bed. You're like, I'm fresh. I'm ready to go. Way better than the days that just kind of like my motivation was high this past week, but I just did not sleep. I was stressed, and it was just obvious. Like my Whoop shows my lower recovery, and I went to bed at decent times too.
Why are you stressed?
Oh, there's all sorts of stuff. We don't need to go into it. Long story short is I'm motivated. I'll get into it a little bit. Long story short is I'm motivated. Let's go to definition first, and then I'll jump into it.
Okay.
All right, 2 definitions here. Number 1, the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. Right. So escape can be a strong motivation for travel. Is the sentence. Second one is more kind of what we're looking at. The general desire or willingness of someone to do something. Keep staff up to date and maintain interest and motivation. And so I think that one explains our podcast well. So behind the scenes stuff, Tara and I disagreements sometimes. And no matter what, when we start the podcast, you can tell that we're both like motivated to have good content, right? We want to share our stories. We want to be passionate about it, and everything else just kind of gets put away because we're motivated to do something for the betterment of not just one of us or the other one of us, but as a general unit. As the Kitchen Table Podcast, I think is a great example of that.
Yeah. Like right now, I was upset how late we got started, but then I was thinking, I was like, I shouldn't be looking at time. I should be looking at the content that we're gonna make, especially like the next 2 weeks are just busy.
And I should be thinking that Taylor's got a busy week and he needs to not be able to snooze his alarm. So I got to help him reach his goal. I got to motivate him, and I got to have action towards it. We're going to talk about that. You know, there's actually 3 parts of motivation. I did not know this until I looked at this definition.
I'm ready.
I haven't talked to anybody about it, so we're freeballing this here. So there's 3 major components of motivation. First one is activation. I feel like that's easy. The activation, Jim is a great example, right? You see somebody that does something you want to do in the gym or looks a certain way. I want that, right? I'm super good at this. I see I'm not very good at something at CrossFit, and I see other people are. Okay, I'm going to add this. So like right now I'm doing handstand walks. At the end of every workout, I do 3 handstand walks one week. The next week I do 4. Next week I do 5. Then I go back to 3. So activation, boom, wrote it down. Think about it. Done, right? Then it's persistence. This is the hard one to me. Persistence. Again, we talked about New Year's resolution stuff. About 2, how many people have already lost that persistence? Right? Whether it's eating healthy, whether it's praying more, whether it's going to the gym, reaching up or reaching back out to others, following through on your goals or aspirations or whatever your New Year's resolution is. How many people can't stay persistent, right? That's why you need to cycle things. That's why you need to celebrate the small, and just kind of do one. That's why it's 1% better, right? It's not 10% better.
Yeah.
That once you get to a certain spot, that doesn't really happen, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that's very difficult and important. And then the last step, then I'll let you kind of hit on these, is intensity. And it's weird that intensity is the last one.
Why do you say that?
I just think because activation is clearly the first thing. It goes to your mind, right?
Yeah.
I was at a church class the other day, and they were talking about sin, right? So there's a difference between looking and just seeing, right? If you look at something, that's not a sin necessarily because you just glance at it, right? Your mind's got 87,000 thoughts a day. Well, mine's more like 210,000, but you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So you look, but you don't see, right? Something's out of the corner of your eye, whatever. But when you see, like you're glaring at it or whatever it might be, that's the second step. And then you think about it. Then you're going to rethink about it. then you're going to act upon it, and then you're going to feed into or eat whatever that is. That's how sin occurs. Those steps, literally. Father Broby said that exact thing.
It's like the same thing as listening versus hearing.
Yeah, same thing. So I just think intensity, you have to be persistent in it, and then you can either crank up or tone down the intensity. Like I said, I go 3, 4, 5, and then I tone it back down to stay motivated. Because I keep going up. Eventually, I'm going to be like, I don't want to do this. It's going to be 30 minutes of my workout. You know what I mean? But if you just do a little bit, it's a lot easier. So I thought that was interesting. I can also see intensity being last after the second one, which is persistence, because once you get that persistence, then you can crank the intensity versus doing the intensity, but if you only do it 3 times a week, it's not very good. You know what I mean? I just thought it was interesting. What's your take on activation, persistence, and intensity in terms of motivation?
On the other hand, I really like the word intensity.
Why?
Because I think, especially when you're intense on something, it means that you have passion, that you're very like in thought with it, and that's why I think that keeps motivation too. And that is intense just means that it's a lot, I'd say. And that it's a huge like feeling, and so when you have like intense, like I would just think, to me, it just means I'm very emotional, and so with that, just powering those emotions.
I think it's important
because then I'd also to me it just circles back, like it goes with intensity that equals like
helps you to be persistent, and it keeps the activation. That's what I was going to say, because motivation, like I'm looking at this little graphic here. I wish we could put it on. We need to learn how to put stuff on screen. We need a tech guy. But basically, motivation is like, it has motivation in the middle, and then it has like different bubbles going towards it. So it's like goals, rewards, encouragement, opportunity, challenge, determination, friendly environment. And that's exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So intensity comes back to that persistence. It comes back to, hey, can I reactivate that? I want to reach this goal. If you don't have that, then what are we doing, right? And they also say, it sounds stupid, but I just learned this like a week ago. I was listening to a podcast about when you're like tired or sore in the weight room, that a lot of people like go down in weight because it's easier, right? You shouldn't go down in weight. You should just do less volume. They specifically said, never compromise intensity. If you're in a training day, you're supposed to hit that intensity, right? We're coming on a podcast and we're tired. We need to, one, fake it till we make it for motivation from a standard, right? Hopefully we don't have to fake it. 2, just have a shorter episode. Never compromise quality or intensity for your show or whatever you're doing. Just make the volume or the duration shorter. Otherwise, you're not actually getting better. You're just going through the motions, right? Later, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest ways to become better at motivating people is to find I call it the green zone of challenge, right? So if you're too far out of the green and you're in the, actually, we should change this. We should call it the yellow zone. Just think of a stoplight. It's easier for people to know. Think of a stoplight, okay? Yellow, it's kind of like, do I go or do I stop, right? So as you're in that challenge, you're stopping, it's too hard, why try? So if we can continuously be in the yellow, we can challenge ourselves, but we don't go too far either direction to make it too easy so it's boring, or too hard, we're going to basically set ourselves up for failure. That's where that 1% gets better. And that's where kids, especially, if you can give them a hint that, hey, you can do this and you can be better. That's like my mom's definition of leadership, right? Showing them they can get somewhere, even though they can't do it, but you see that they can do it. So we can stay in that yellow, just right on the edge of that intensity, and then keep coming back to it and keep them hungry. That's where the good stuff comes in. That's where the juiciness is, you know? Have a Juicy Lucy. You know what Juicy Lucy is?
What's that?
Soda or something. We were going up to Minnesota to ski, and we saw this thing on Man vs. Food or something. So we got a Juicy Lucy. It's basically a burger with cheese inside of it, and it's really greasy. It's really not very good. You Minnesotans over there, up there technically.
their state burger?
I don't know if it's this. I just said that. It's very popular. I know that. I don't know if states have a state burger. Iowa would probably be a pulled pork sandwich. I used to love pork burgers though.
Yeah.
Should get some of that.
When did you? This is kind of like off topic question, but related. When did you like know that you were like very like
motivated and stuff?
Yeah.
Huh. It is good because this is kind of tie into our lives and stuff here. I think. Let me write this down here. So, you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
The day I remember that I can think. This sounds bad. It sounds kind of arrogant, but it's truthfully, I've always been like so motivated. Like I was actually, that's weird because I was just thinking about our episode and how we just got mad at each other. I've always been like, boom, 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 boom. Vision. Sorry.
Yeah.
Normally I get mad at you for that. I just broke the mic. I am such a OCD, step-by-step, routine, planner. Like I was listening to a podcast and they said like when the earnings just came out in the stock market for big tech, right?
Yeah.
Big tech doesn't even care about the earnings. So Meta dropped, we talked about that last week. Or no, we didn't. No, we didn't. It was early in the week. Anyways, Meta dropped 20% because they didn't hit their earnings because they're doing this metaverse stuff, right?
Yeah.
Zuckerberg already knew they were losing that money. He's planning 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
Right? He does not care about the earnings right now. Facebook lost 20% of his value. He does not care. Because he's already planned 4 or 5 steps ahead.
Yeah.
That's what I think we need to do in motivation. If I can see this path that I want to reach, here's my end goal. Don't set that goal yet, but have it in your mind. These are the 3-4 steps that I'm going to take in these 3-4 time periods in order to reach that end goal. Now, it's not going to go exactly how you want. It's going to be a roller coaster, right? I've been writing that stuff a lot, and I've seen that motivation this week in my life of just kicking stuff. Like I want a different level kicking right now, and it's a shame because nobody's noticed yet. But it's going to be like I've just completely transformed my thought process. I just feel free of it, and my motivation is it's not like it's no longer or it's becoming less, I should say. It's not completely gone. It's less of a, I got to do it to show I can do it. It's more of a, I want to do it because I've worked hard and I want to reap the benefits to be able to do that or say that I did that. So it's not so much a proving a point of, hey, I'm at that spot. Like, I'm here, right? So really my whole life. This is how I'm wired, which is good and bad. Sometimes you need to be able to turn it off. That's why I couldn't sleep this week, because I couldn't turn it off. I was thinking too much about it or what I'm going to do for the future, what's coming next. I was too much in that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's why I love my Saturday nights if I don't have stuff, and my Sunday nights, because that's my, especially when football's on Sunday night. I just watch Sunday night football. That's literally my night from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock to erase my mind, look on Twitter, hang out, just feel a little less stressed, and then go to bed and start a new week. The older I get, the more I don't like doing stuff on Sunday nights.
Sorry.
No, it's good. Because it's hard for me to feel like I don't have a rest period and go. Because I've done that for 10 years straight, and that makes me worse. Like I lose that intensity. Or that I don't lose my persistence. It just becomes more of a grit or grunt work. Rather than, hey, I'm here, I'm loving it,
That's good then. Tomorrow for your rest day.
Yeah, I literally thought about that earlier. I was
Tuesday.
like, you know what? We're doing this tonight, but I'll have Monday to relax, and then I get a little time in the week because this week is gonna be. I got a lot of stuff coming up this week, which it's all good stuff, and it's all gonna help me a lot. It's just I don't like adding stuff sometimes. I want to spend more time doing what I want.
Isn't that the worst? Isn't that the worst? This is a little off topic, but like, it really makes you like unmotivated when like something comes up that you like really don't care about or want to do.
Yeah, and
That takes time away from the stuff you want. Like,
that's the number one reason I hate scheduling doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, taking my car in. It's not even about the money. I mean, I don't like that either, but it's the fact that I have to spend 2 to 3 hours of my day extra doing what I absolutely despise doing. That's so true. I tell my fiance that all the time. That's why it's good I got her, because she like deals with that a lot better than I do.
Yeah.
And it's just like she can do things for me and makes my life way easier.
Yeah.
So I just really, I totally agree.
Yeah. It took me like 2 months to get like eye doctor, because I really just like
didn't want to do it.
Things like sometimes like things would come up on the day, but then I was like, I didn't want to go, so I'd cancel like the day before. I'm like, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm literally the worst at it.
Again, I think one of the biggest things in motivation is you have to invest it in it. Mm-hmm. Just like following through. Yeah. If you don't care emotionally, you're done before you don't even start.
Yeah. It's the same thing. I mean, you show up to your job, or like if you show up to like you don't want to be there, like people notice, kids notice, because like your vibe, like
spreads. Slouched over, talking like this, like that's boring. That sucks. If you're excited and you can tell like you're into it, it's very hard to fake being into it.
Right.
Like when it comes down to it, it really is. Everything's just a little better. Mm-hmm. Which we'll kind of get into that on how to do it better, because the number one stat I found out, the number one stat of motivation is peers.
Yep.
So if everybody else is wanting to do good, your team, let's say you have 6 a.m. lifting. If your team's like, 6 a.m., this sucks, dude. Your team's like, you know what? 6 a.m. we get to see the sunrise. We get a good workout. We can go eat breakfast together. I remember in high school we have like a fireman's breakfast. It's called, to support the local fire department, because it's a volunteer. So we had a soccer tournament, and I was like, because my family always goes, right? So probably shouldn't eat as much as I did, but I was like, hey, let's just go to the team. As a team, go to the fireman's breakfast, and we'll get on the bus and go to our tournament, right? And the bus was supposed to leave at like 7:30. So I was like, let's go to the fireman's breakfast at 6:15. We'll eat, we'll hang out, and then we'll go on the bus. And at first people are like, this sucks. But then it's that camaraderie, and everybody like joins together, and it's like, hey, this is kind of fun. You know what I mean? Everybody can sleep on the bus, spend time together, and we ended up winning the tournament. So it was, I don't think it was just because of the fireman's breakfast, but it was cool. So peers are a big thing about it.
Yeah, and we have the same goal with peer pressure.
Yeah.
And that, but again, like it's everywhere, but it especially works at my job, in that because like if one person's not doing the right thing, it affects everyone.
Yes.
And so everyone can have that feeling, like if they're not with it or with the group, if they're not like focused on like not being an issue, or not having a problem, and this and that, like they know it'll affect other kids. But then on the other side, on the flip side, us telling them versus kids telling them, they will always hear it more coming from their peer to peer than coming from like
a teacher, coach, or mentor, or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And that's why we're so big on having kids talk in other kids' ears, and that. Mm-hmm. Then
it's also why leadership matters.
Yeah.
Going back to our episode a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
When would you say you were least motivated ever? And why, maybe?
Junior year of high school.
That was the bad year. The whole shebang stuff started happening.
Whole shebang.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I got MIP.
Yeah.
Well, that was in the senior year.
Okay. But it started junior year.
Yeah.
The actions.
Yes. Started second semester, junior year.
So why was motivation low, and how? Obviously, we just kind of said why.
I realized I did not like school.
Okay.
And so school was just like
sort of invested in it.
Yeah, I wasn't, because I knew I liked one class, and it was accounting, and the only reason why I liked the one class of accounting is because we did the stock market, and that we were given like $250,000.
It's really not even accounting.
No, and but that was just like a part of the challenge.
Oh yeah.
And of our group, and that I ended up making like the most money.
So you were number one, huh?
Yeah, because I knew Apple. I invested most of my capital into Apple.
Oh,
and that this is right when the new phone comes out, and then earnings came out, and they did really well that year, whatever year, 2012, whatever year.
Yeah, I'm trying to because you basically lost motivation all of a sudden.
Yeah, and then.
Because my dad sent me a text the other day that talks. So most people say motivation runs out, or you can get burnt out, like that's the thing. But there's other quotes that talk about how motivation doesn't run out if you do certain things. Same with like burning out. So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find this quote to see if I can kind of go against. Like if you would have done this, would that have put you on a different path?
Right. Yeah. What junior? So the soccer starts March, so I've been second semester. Didn't do well, failed a class, so that put me out of playing soccer for the next year. So junior year I didn't get to play soccer, so then I was kind of like I didn't know what to do with my time. I didn't know what to do with my day, and because I missed a test and I forgot to take it, and so I failed the class, so I didn't get to take it, so then I didn't play soccer. And then from there, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, so here, let me jump in quick. Here's the quote. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. So you need to reinvest in that. You got to reactivate it, right?
Yeah.
So nothing was reactivating that schooling for you. So it's just like sucks, not going to class, fail this.
yeah, it wasn't like skipping class.
Dang.
I can do that.
I was really hoping it was going to be a little more. Also, that's like Zig Ziglar, who I got to figure out who the Zig Ziglar guy is. Because he's got a lot of quotes.
When I always went to class, I mean, that's like the expectation, and that. But if we didn't do the schoolwork in class, I wasn't doing it at home.
Yeah.
I was not spending time.
You didn't want to.
Yeah, I was not invested unless we did in class.
Mm-hmm.
If we did in class, I was all for it. But I'm not gonna spend. Wasn't gonna spend my time.
Yeah, you didn't care that much.
Yeah, especially science, math. The only thing that kind of was interesting in social studies, and then PE.
You probably like social studies because it had geography, which means you get to see different places in the world.
Yeah, but at that point, I didn't know I liked travel. I never traveled before that. I didn't travel until really sophomore year of college.
Yeah, spring break trip.
Yep, it was the first time I actually really traveled outside the state to do anything. And otherwise, it's just kind of like soccer trips or camping trips, and around the state of Iowa, which is fun and great. But I never really experienced the world.
Yeah, it's more world than Iowa. Not that Iowa's bad.
And then I'd always wanted to visit California. Until probably 3-4 years ago when California started really going to crap, and I was like, I wanted to move to California.
You got 250,000 in the stock market. You're going to need every penny.
Yeah, I was a huge fan. And then we went out there. I loved it. It was awesome. And just the whole West Coast is dope. It's awesome.
It's all right.
And then I was like I want to move here because I was gonna move there my freshman year of college. Me and I are gonna move out there. Me and 2 friends are gonna move out there, but we didn't because the cost of living is crazy. Because I was gonna just go to college out there.
Yeah, get like a small apartment.
Yeah, but didn't end up doing that. Then I went to UNI, and that's when I was like done playing soccer at Iowa Western. Supposed to go to Iowa State. Supposed to go to Northwest. Yeah. Then I went to UNI.
Hey,
but yeah,
that's crazy. Crazy.
Yes, I didn't even know, and I just felt like I didn't have anything on. My parents split that year. And
what got you out of that?
Probably after I got caught.
So you had to have something bad happen to realize, like, hey, I gotta get my crap together.
Yeah, it's more like, like I knew to notice like stuff was kind of going down.
Then you had the motivation to be better, essentially.
Yeah.
Just kind of came to terms with it.
Yeah.
You're like, this is it.
Yeah, and then I think I knew it was like my last year playing soccer, and then so I did get to play soccer in the summer, and so when I did that, I was like, okay, I need
to change it.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's crazy how things happen to us, and that kind of reinvigorates our motivation to be better or whatever. Sometimes it takes that bottom to really have a bounce. They always say the bigger the bottom, the bigger the bounce.
Yeah. Another thing, like again, like I wish I could change if I could go back. If I could relive my life knowing what I know now. I never really like thought about the after high school. Like no one ever talked to me. Like I was talked to once about playing soccer.
You know that 5-step plan?
No. I mean, that's crazy.
You had the 5-minute plan.
Yeah. Like I didn't know what to do. That's why I didn't want to go to Iowa State. I didn't know if I could get in Iowa State because of my grades. I think I passed. I think I graduated with like a 2.3 maybe. It's not great. I just didn't carry like that's the thing that really excited me. And then so I didn't know if I was gonna get in Iowa State, which was like the place I wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Only because other people were going there that I was friends with.
Usually they say in college you don't hang out with your high school buddies.
Which is crazy though, because like a lot of the kids that went to Iowa State hung out with each other and were good friends.
Yeah.
But so then I didn't know what to do. So then I applied to DMAC. Went looked there. Was gonna go there. Then last minute I decided I was like wanted to play soccer. So I went to Iowa Western. Just asked to be on the team a week into school after they had already been practicing for 2-3 weeks.
You had last minute coming into UNI too. You a last minute guy. No offense, but I think you should maybe change that.
Okay, the UNI
that's gonna run into some issues.
Okay, but then the UNI thing was completely different because it was like I was gonna go Northwest, and I was accepted everything. I just didn't have because they technically you're in state, but I had to have above a 3 or something.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, well, I don't want to pay out of state for this. So I went to Iowa State. That they didn't have beds. They were putting people in apartments. And so my dad's like, you're not going to live in an apartment first year off campus, like trying to pay for that by yourself.
Yeah.
And so that kind of steered me away. And then my dad called UNI because I was like, I don't want to go back to Iowa Western.
Yeah.
And then they said they're still enrolling. So
boom, there he is. Nice. I love it.
I didn't have enrollment until like the day before classes started.
Hey, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. So.
And you made it. And then you're motivated and had the best 4 years of your life, 5 years of your life, and now we are living in Des Moines, in the great state of Iowa.
Which is
living the dream.
Right. Which is another thing too. Like, I'm glad I had my experience at UNI, and like even though I didn't graduate, but like you think I would have noticed that like okay I didn't like high school, so why would I go to college? And that like I was like right? I was like I thought about it a lot. I was like why am I I don't care about school, but then at the same time I didn't know another route besides military.
Yeah.
And I still don't know why I didn't sign the papers. Because I almost signed for the Air National Guard.
So what is the route now?
Retire. Going to Florida.
Okay, so that's the 5-year goal. That's the 5-year goal. What's the time period to do that? You got some like you don't have to say them out loud, but do you have checkpoints and affirmative actions that are going to be hit, and you have motivation to hit those checkpoints? Because let's be honest, retire is a very lucid goal.
It is. Because I mean, when I say retire,
because it could be next year, it could be 10 years, it could be 50 years.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal. Like if I don't achieve it for 50 years, but along the way I'm still like happy with what I'm doing or content with what I'm doing, like that's happiness. motivated.
Yeah.
Because even like if I retire, like essentially what I'm saying is that I want you to retire from a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I got you. You want to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that.
So you're just using retirement different than what the general population is.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to be. My general thing is I want to be out of the rat race.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, I'm 40, 45. Then it's not like it is.
You're still motivated or pushing yourself to reach that point.
Yes. And if it's 50, 55, 60. If I gotta work my entire life, I'd probably be that mad at some point. I'm like, okay, like, what am I doing?
So that's your driving point, though, is to be so-called your definition of retired.
Yeah. And I think, especially, again, like investments and all that stuff is one. This is two.
Here's a question. How do you know you will have impacted people or made the world a better place by retiring?
I'm able to do this one more time. And that, like, one thing is, like, to go do more community service. And that.
So essentially, you want to be, in other words, financially free to be able to do what you want, but in those projects.
You get back more.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. That's kind of how mine is, honestly.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to play football to be a professional athlete and be on TV. I want to be a professional athlete to be financially free and to be able to speak that I've accomplished this and motivate others to be the best versions of themselves. That's why I want to write books and stuff. That's why I want to play soccer. That's why I want to be the Masters CrossFit champion. That's why I want to own a gym. So I want to do all this stuff. Not to say I did it, but to, one, accomplish my own goal, and two, now I have all day. Like, I wish, like, there's meetings and stuff at church that are during the day. I was like, man, this would be cool to attend or cool to help out at.
Put a movie on.
But I got to go to work. I can't do it, right? So that's where I'm at.
So put your home on it in charge.
We don't have a home on. We need one. Anyways, that's another story for another day. Let's talk about how to be better at motivation. So off the top of my head, if I said one thing that you need to go ahead.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, if I have one piece of advice to motivate people better, it's it's the yellow light theory, right? Challenge them, but not too much. And then also be as a influence to them, right? This whole season about influence. Influence them in a 8-to-1 positive to negative. So 8 positive comments to 1 negative. Build that trust, build that relationship with either the student, the athlete, the peer, your boss. It doesn't matter, but build that relationship and show that you're trying to be better so that they hopefully are better as well. And if they don't want to be better, then if it's in your company and you have a position of so-called power, they don't align, all right, that's time to move on to somebody who does align. There's billion people that you find, right? So that would be my biggest thing. And even going along with that, I would say it kind of goes with, God always says the greatest of these is love. It kind of goes with building it an 8-to-1 positive, but you got to show them love and compassion. They're human. They're going to mess up. You're going to be a hypocrite. They're going to be a hypocrite. But in general, are you trying to hit the same place, just individually and as a company or as a organization or a team, whatever, for athletics? Are you trying to hit the same thing? And then your role, are you doing it the best you can? And are you allowing them to be the best they can?
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What if you had one piece of people better, what would you say? That was mine. That was a little tidbit.
Yes. I would say mindset. Work on it.
Explain that a little bit.
Yeah. So you can't. I'd say it's harder to be motivated when you're in a bad mindset. Like I can't do this. Like you're living. I'd say living in fear, and that like if you're afraid to take a risk, and that like I'd say like the more like the older we grow up, and that like you can tell like the world has changed from like a risk eccentric like world to more of like they just want to live in stability.
No one challenge themselves.
Yes.
Or have any sort of risk.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
and that so I'd say like and I think like a lot comes from fear, and especially like this past, let's say especially like this past like COVID really like exposed a lot of people like others people's risks put other people in fear. Like you,
they see somebody else do something, they're like, I'm not.
You're like I don't like the choices you make because I'm scared that it's gonna affect me. Like you could be running on a completely different verge, but because you're running and I'm walking, it makes me scared.
You should learn from others' mistakes, but you also should put into perspective their situation.
Yeah.
Not just live through them. You gotta live your own life. Yeah.
And so like that, I'd say like again like that's why people are pushing like the vaccine. And again like this is a little like more political or a little bit more touchy, but like people like took the risk of taking the vaccine, and now there's people to say no, I don't want the vaccine. Like that's not for me. And so people on the other side have been like, but I took this risk. Like now you have to take the risk, even though there's like they
have freedom like, for their own body.
Yes, and there's like vaccinated, unvaccinated. Like I still like plan on getting the vaccine. And I know you're vaccinated, but
unfortunately,
but like there's numbers out there where it's like for younger people are like higher risk of having like a bad reaction to, which is wild because I was like, then why should we push it upon younger people to, you know, to be able to take a vaccine? Like if it affects, like, how does like, you know, like how does people like not taking the vaccine affect you?
Yeah.
If you have the vaccine, then you're protected. Or if you feel unsafe, like wear a mask or do the extra precautions. What's it say?
This is you're good.
Okay. But yeah, so I think like being able to like find a mindset and that to where like you are able to control like what you feel, how you feel, and especially when it comes to maybe even especially like maybe not over seeking happiness, over seeking pleasure. That's also bad as well, and that because that'll still drive you into unmotivation, and that when you're overly like stimulated, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say finding the middle ground and being forward focused.
I like forward focus. Some other things that I looked up on squareup.com about just having general motivation. This is mainly for business, but it can be kind of everywhere. Make your business a better place or pleasant place. So like if you have trophies on your team, every team puts their trophies out front, right? They want to show their success. Business, you don't have just blank walls. Teachers, you don't have blank classrooms.
Generally, businesses have their rewards.
Yeah.
And that
pour
them on, all that stuff.
Another thing is you want to have like a reward system type deal. I think Google is a great example of that. And again, you get that. We used in basketball, we used to have those stickers that we got if we had so many points, or I had one that I didn't have any turnovers as a game as a be transparent is another thing. Like be honest, but I didn't say that, and that helps build that relationship. Flexibility, food. Again, how do you get people to go to church stuff in college that we went to? Food. Recognize their achievements, and then let them have a say as well, I think is a big thing. So generally, a great way to say this is just have good character, be a good person in general. That helps you just naturally motivate people every day. And have energy.
Especially like when people feel seen, they'll do a lot more for you.
Yeah, I agree.
People feel seen, heard, respected.
So let's make that the challenge of the week. Either do something that makes somebody feel seen, or give them power to be heard, or give them an extra compliment. Give them a reward system's kind of touchy in my opinion. Because you don't just want to do it based on rewards, but you want them to generally, or what's the word I'm looking for? Genuinely want to do it instead of not generally, genuinely. I guess it.
You're gonna say how many more times are you gonna say it?
I'm trying to just say it correctly. Genuinely, you want them to do it, but give them a positive comment, make them feel happy, all that good stuff. It's gonna be a great week. Have great weather. Can't wait to get outside and Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll link everything in the description. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next week.
Appreciate you. Love you. Bye.